Hello and welcome to Art Song Notes. My name is Cara Alfano. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Beau soir by Claude Debussy with poetry by Paul Bourget. I love this art song for so many reasons. I love it for its gorgeous and relatable poetry, its romantic melody, and how it teaches musicians how to deal with triplet versus duple rhythms. So in today's video, I'm going to take you through the pronunciation of the French text, and then I'll read you an English translation of that text. We'll talk about the meaning of the poetry, and then we'll take a look at how the text is set to music. And then I'll leave you with some vocal technique tips that will help aid you in your practicing of Beau soir. So let's get started with that pronunciation. Lorsqu'au soleil couchant, les rivières sont roses, et qu'un tiède frisson court sur les champs de blé. Un conseil d'être heureux semble sortir des choses et monter vers le cœur troublé. On conseille de goûter le charme d'être au monde, cependant qu'on est jeune et que le soir est beau, car nous nous en allons, comme s'en va s'étendre. Elle à la mer, nous au tombeau. And now the English translation as found in the interpretation of French song by Pierre Bernac is as follows. When the rivers are rosy in the setting sun and a mild tremor runs over the cornfields, an exhortation to be happy seems to emanate from things and rises towards the troubled heart. An exhortation to enjoy the charm of being alive while one is young and the evening is beautiful. For we go away as the stream goes, the stream to the sea, we to the tomb. So now let's talk about the meaning of this text. Well, the title of the song, Beau soir, translates in English to beautiful evening. And we see this set forth right at the beginning of the poem with the lines, when the rivers are rosy in the setting sun and a mild tremor runs over the cornfields, an exhortation to be happy seems to emanate from things and rises towards the troubled heart. The beauty of the evening and the being around things in nature that all seem to emanate happiness calms the hurting heart. When we get to the second stanza, we read an exhortation to enjoy the charm of being alive while one is young and the evening is beautiful. The idea of when you are young, enjoying being young and being in the present. For just as this stream goes to the sea and runs off into the sea, into the infiniteness of the largesse of the sea, our lives will move forward and our ending destination will be the tomb. Thus, we should enjoy the present. A somber ending to a very pleasant thought. So now that we've talked a little bit about the meaning of the text, let's take a look at how the text is set to music. So as we look at the compositional structure of Beau soir, the first thing I want to talk about is noting how it begins in a major key, but then very quickly from measure to measure, we move between major chordal structures to minor chordal structures to augmented chordal structures, and we keep moving between all these varying chordal structures. Well, to me, that feels reminiscent of the constantly changing nature of our lives and the constantly changing nature of the stream as it flows to the sea. Now, earlier in the video, I mentioned how Beau soir utilizes triplet rhythms against duple rhythms, and we see this very prevalently used in the piano lines, with the duple rhythm being used in the voice. Now, it's not surprising that we see this in this piece, as triplet versus duple rhythms are very often used in 19th century French music. But what I think is interesting to think about is how the juxtaposition between a triplet rhythm and a duple rhythm could represent the idea of the juxtaposition between holding two ideas in your mind at once when it comes to the text. The idea that we live joyfully in the present, enjoying youth and enjoying the beauty of the evening, all the while knowing that life is constantly evolving and changing and will eventually lead to the tomb. Now, going back to some happier thoughts, arguably the most exciting and climactic moment of Beau soir is on the line "Cependant qu'on est jeune et que le soir est beau," where we talk about how wonderful it is to be young and to enjoy the beauty of the evening. In fact, the climactic moment of the entire art song is on the word beau, which means beautiful. I don't think that's any accident that Debussy set that particular phrase on this exuberant, ascending, melodic line, and allowing the word beau to be on a long-held high note. And then lastly, what I want to note is how the piano is constantly incorporating triplets and duples in the accompaniment until we get towards the very end of the song, when we get to the words "Elle à la mer," it to the stream, the stream to the sea, as if to punctuate the finite nature of the existence of the water in the stream as it disappears into the sea, and anticipating the mention of the finite nature of our own earthly bodies as we go to the tomb. So now that we talked a little bit about the compositional structure of Beau soir, let me give you some vocal technique tips that can help you as you are practicing this beautiful French chanson. Vocal technique tip number 1. Take careful note of all the dynamic and tempo markings. So the phrases rise and fall so much. There are so many varying dynamic markings, so many crescendos, decrescendos, and varying tempi markings. What I would recommend doing is highlighting them. In fact, what I would do is I would choose one highlight color for all the dynamic markings and another highlighter color for all the tempi markings. That way, you'll make sure you don't miss any of the markings that Debussy put in his score. Vocal technique tip number 2. As the singer, you lead the tempo. So sometimes when you're a younger or less experienced singer, you will tend to let the pianist lead the tempo and lead you. But if you do this with this song, the triplets that the pianist is going to be playing will start to get slower and slower and slower. This will actually result in it making it harder for you to sing this piece. So remember, you take the lead when it comes to the speed. Vocal technique tip number 3. In the phrase "Cependant qu'on est jeune et que le soir est beau," take a quick catch breath between je and et. But bravo to you if you can make it through that entire phrase on one breath, because frankly, that is the ideal. Vocal technique tip number 4. Really obey the tenuto markings at the end of the song on the words Allah and nous au tombeau. Remember, these phrases are the culmination of the musings of the self-aware youth. And vocal technique tip number 5. Legato singing. Please make sure that you sing in a legato fashion throughout the entire piece. There are no hard glottal attacks because after all, this is French. Thank you so much for joining me here at Art Song Notes today. I hope that you enjoyed this video about Beau soir, and if you did, I encourage you to take a look at some of the other videos here on this channel, and of course, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Until next time, happy singing!